Welcome to Good News Books. I'm your host, Sara Livingston, and today on the show we have John Rock. He is the author of the book, The Forgotten Church. Welcome to the show.
Well, hi. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
I wanted to ask you about how you came to know the Lord and just a little bit about who you are.
Okay. I came to the Lord. I moved out to New Jersey back when I was 24 years old, and it was the first time I had gotten away from all of my friends and family, and I just started thinking that I was probably going to meet the Lord a lot sooner than I thought. I didn't exactly necessarily believe in a God, but I knew something created the world, so I just said, God, if you exist, I need to know who you are. And from that time, didn't take long until I met Christ, and was captured by the resurrection of Christ. I even told him, I said at the time, if I ever learn that the resurrection isn't true, I'm out of here. But I haven't been able to get out of it that easy. And never meant to be a minister, never meant to do a lot of things. And I even gave him my list of things I will not do, but within about a year I'd probably done them all. So. Yeah.
What were some of the things you said you wouldn't do?
So I wouldn't go door to door. I said I wouldn't do street preaching, but I did. So don't tell God what you won't do.
Right, because he has his own plans.
He has his own plans. Yes, he does.
You started a ministry called the Sharing Organization. When did you start it, and what was the motivation behind it?
In 2003, I had done some schooling, and I worked with a church, and they would take me in to do it was their month to do the nursing homes in their community. And so in that community, all the churches just did a month. They do every week, but they just only do 1 month and then go again that next year.
Okay.
And the pastor took me in, taught me what to do, and then and at the end of our month, they were left with nobody because the summer they had 3 months with nobody. So one of the directors came to me and said, "Could you continue to do this to the summer?" I'm like, "Yeah, I can." So I did. And then at the end of the summer, I realized that I was leaving. I was patting myself on the back for a job well done. I spread the gospel, and now I'm gone. And I just realized that there's something wrong with that. That the next year, many of them would pass, and I wouldn't know, and I wouldn't care. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, that's not exactly what I think Jesus would have done. Maybe I'm mistaken, but I just I wanted to be in. I wanted to know their names,
Yeah.
and then I had done some demographic work, and I realized that anybody who wanted to get out of bed on Sunday morning to go to church, they could, except for the people who are bound to their homes. And that was the folks that, the elderly who are, homebound, and then those who live in nursing homes or adult foster care facilities.
Mm-hmm. And what is a AFC home?
AFC is an adult foster care facility, and that is, it's not a nursing home proper. A nursing home proper will have your registered nurses and things like that, but an adult foster care facility is more where the people who are mentally handicapped live, or physically and mentally handicapped, and it's just a smaller home in many cases. I more or less go to homes that have 6 people in them, and they're in their neighborhoods, and most of the time we don't even know they're there.
Yeah.
And it's just what God has opened up for me, and that's where my heart is, because churches will serve the larger nursing homes in their communities because they know they're there. Mm-hmm. But the 6 people homes, they don't even get visited on Christmas or Thanksgiving.
Okay.
So nobody goes in to see, to care for their spiritual needs.
Oh, no.
And so that's where my heart is really at. Don't get me wrong, the big ones are important too, but mm-hmm. they always have so many volunteers. Mm-hmm. So it's like, and I guess my heart's towards those that have nothing. So.
Mm-hmm. And that's why you call it the
Sharing
Forgotten Church.
Oh, the Forgotten Church, yeah.
Yes.
Those are the people that we just don't think about. You know, maybe it was wrong to say they're forgotten. I don't even think they were remembered to begin with sometimes.
Well,
You know,
I think
so.
you're right.
But yeah, so it's just one of those things. I'm just trying to get the word out to churches and pastors and other people, just that they're there, you know, and to
Yeah.
go in and
Shining the light.
yeah,
Here that they're over
and
here.
remind them that they've not been forgotten.
Right. Oh.
Because when people are there, they don't, you know, depending on their mental abilities, some can think that God has forgotten about them. Some can think that, you know, some may have never even heard, and some have heard, but they've been, you know, they were part of a church, but are not now, and so they're not remembered, or don't have family. It's just so many different things.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
So someone who lives in a nursing care home, that would be the kind of people who would live there in an AFC home? Would
Yeah,
they-
I mean, you can get elderly. A lot of people are, there's a lot of veterans
Okay.
who were injured during war or whatever their time in service. People who have closed head brain injuries that have to have someone there to help them take their meds and remember their medications and things. So you get a lot of different people. You can just, instead of going to a nursing home, sometimes people just go to an AFC home. It really is, it's a variety of people in a lot of cases.
Okay. What is the number one question you get asked by the residents when you go in?
I get asked, the number one thing I get asked is, what church are you with?
Oh.
They always say, what church are you with? And my answer is always the same, doesn't vary. I say, the same one Jesus was. And they say, hey, that's mine. I'm like, good, that's worship. You can be a part of our thing. And so that's, I mean, if they had church background, because it's customary for any of us, regardless of our denomination, Jesus was a part of our denomination.
Yes.
So I just answer that way because it kind of, it's not divisive.
In your book, it says that the major goals of the sharing ministry is to develop relationships with the residents.
Yeah, I wanted to weep when they passed. I wanted to know their names. I wanted it to ache a little. It wasn't, we went for a weekly, we go weekly rather than monthly. A lot of places, a lot of people or ministries that go into nursing homes will go monthly, which is fine. But for me, I wanted to build real relationships, and
Yeah.
you can't do that on a monthly setting 12 times a year.
Right.
I just don't think you can. So I go monthly, and they know me by name. You know, if they remember me from week to week, they, you know, we're friends. And it's interesting that going every week, I get people who wouldn't darken the door of a church, but they'll come to service because they know me. They've
Yeah.
gotten to know me. And I'm always there, so it's like it just works better, I think.
Do you do it typically on a Sunday, or is it any day of the week?
We used to do Sundays. We did 4 services on Sunday morning, and after a few years of that, God had put it on my heart that I needed to change and start going to a weekly service, but I didn't want to. And I can be stubborn like that. And
I think we all can.
Yeah, and then I broke my knee, and I got to,
Ouch.
3 months worth of bed rest out of it. Well, I said, all right, you got my attention now. Schedule changed, right? Sunday mornings were done, and we had to start going to weekdays. And so I had done, so I shifted to weekdays, and we got up to, 15 homes a week. I was doing
Wow.
services in 15 homes a week, and but after a while, I couldn't keep up with that schedule and do family and try to work a little bit too. So, so we're down now to less than that, but I still do services 3 days a week.
Okay. Yeah, so the Lord kind of expanded your vision outside of the Sunday, and to go into during the week and stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I'm glad. I'm just, like I said, I'm stubborn, and I don't. It takes pain sometimes for me to learn my lessons, and God's all right with that.
What is your motto in your ministry?
Err on the side of grace. One thing I learned early on was I went in, you know, of course, come out of school, you got certain things you believe, you know, and things that are not questionable. But then you get into a ministry of serving real people and who have real different, who have objections or just differences of opinion. And I just realized that I had to give up on a lot of things that I just thought was hard and fast, and just realize they need to know Jesus, right? My job isn't there to make them think like me. My job is there to just let them know Christ loves them.
Wow.
And to try to help them to reach out to Christ with just a mustard seed of faith. Mm-hmm. And so I've had to realize that you just take it, give them grace, which I've never been really good at. I love grace, I just don't like giving it as much.
And your book is called The Forgotten Church, 10 Years of Ministry. Why did you write this book?
It was my, I wanted to get the message out about the nursing home, the people that are there, the AFC homes, to try and give a little bit of education. A lot of people don't like going into nursing homes or AFC homes, whatever. I've been told when I was first starting out, one pastor told me it's a great place to go cut my teeth for preaching.
Oh.
I didn't like that.
Yeah.
It didn't set well with me. They're not a great place to go cut my teeth. They're people who need to be loved. And I just thought, it didn't sit well with me. And then I had another friend, a minister, who said, well, I minister to the living, not the dying. And I'm like, what?
What?
We're all dying.
There's only one way out of here.
That's right. So I'm like, but I mean, I understand the discomfort level. I really do. When I first started doing this ministry, it took us 6 months to just get through the absolute fear of it. And I don't know why we were so fearful. Because I think we're fearful because you get put into situations with people who don't make sense, right? Or bodily fluids. Mm-hmm. I remember I had to wipe the nose of a man, and it's just like, ew,
Mm-hmm.
You're not my child. I can change my baby's diaper, not yours, right? Mm-hmm. But so you got to remember their dignity, and it's just hard to get through that sometimes.
And then like serious medical conditions, like if they have a seizure, if they have heart problems, or
I've had people in our services have seizures. We actually had, I don't know if I talked about it in the book, but we were doing a service, and there was a woman. I think we thought she died in the service. And we're finally she was just not responding, so we had to call one of the nurses. Well, her sugar had dropped. Okay. And so she was unconscious, but it was like, it just scared us. I mean, that was in the early stages of the ministry. Mm-hmm. And then my partner and I and his wife, none of us had any experience at all. Mm-hmm. So we were just flying by the seat of our pants doing this. And so we learned a lot. It was good.
God qualifies the called, right?
You know what? He better be. I say that. I say this a lot. God didn't choose me because I'm anything special. And in spite of myself, He still uses me.
You are though. Yep. I feel like that about myself too.
Yeah.
I'm just average gal.
And
over
I think
here.
we all are. Mm-hmm. We all are.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't like preaching. I just don't like it. Now some are very good at it. I don't consider myself very good at it, and I've even been told, you're not real good at that. That's okay. I'm all right. I'm okay with being average and maybe not very good, but I do what I'm called to do.
You're a good teacher of the Word.
Well, thank you. Yeah. But in this ministry, you don't have to be.
Yeah.
You just have to tell them, that Jesus loves them and...
show the love of Christ.
Yeah.
Which might be the only thing that they can receive.
And that's more difficult, I think, sometimes than teaching. Anybody can write out an outline and teach you what the outline says. Yes. It's another thing to love someone who's different. Mm-hmm.
And let it play out in real life and let the love of God show through you towards them as powerful. We're the most powerful witness.
Right.
Yep. Wonderful. Okay, you begin your book talking about Brother Samuel. I can tell by him being in the beginning of the book that he must mean something to you, so I wanted to ask you more about that.
Yeah, Brother Samuel, he was one of the first guys. Actually, we met him the first day we were there, the very first day in 2003 that we went. And he was a Christian man, and he loved the Lord, and we became good friends. and he, he got confused a lot sometimes, but there were a lot of times he wasn't confused, and he and I would go back and forth debating, discussing. He enjoyed the iron sharpens iron part of it, and I didn't mind it at all. I don't mind it, and but he was with me for years, and he would always want "How Great Thou Art" sung. That was his favorite song. So if every time we were there, because I like to change things up from week to week. No, we always had to have that song, and that's okay. And then he always wanted to read a scripture passage to begin the service, and that was always very acceptable, and I thanked him for that. So him and another lady, they were. It was really kind of fun because this was their church, and it was fun to see them take ownership of it and get other people involved, and so it was a blessing to serve him. And all of them, really.
It's like bringing a light into a dark place.
Yeah.
Bringing the Word of God, bringing praise and worship into a place where there could be darkness because they feel isolated.
That's the thing, is the loneliness. I once asked a friend, and I may have talked about it in the book, that he had gone into a nursing home when he got older, and I just said to him,
about the regret?
Yeah.
I did read that.
Yeah, I asked him, I said, my assumption is that there's a lot of regret when you come into a place like this. And he said, yeah. He says, I regret not loving my wife better. Mm-hmm. I regret not loving my children better. And it's not as if he ever did it wrong, right?
Right.
It's just, I think it's natural for us to always wish we would have done things differently or better, and that's just the playground of the devil, I think, is to get in there and just start needling you and making you feel guilty. Well, my job, I think, is a lot to just go in there and say, God loves you, right? Let's just focus on Christ. Let's not focus on the past, right? If he's forgotten it, and he's thrown our sin as far as the east is from the west, who's the only one left to remember it? Us. And so I'm like, let's move forward, let's love those who are here with us today. And a lot of people do respond to that, because when new people come into the home, they're usually very angry or confused or just sad, so they are able to get in there and to love them and to encourage them and pray with them too. So it's just it's a different environment, but it's still very active, I think, for them, even as Christians there.
And it had to be wisdom that you were shown that that's the way that they might feel is regretful, because not a lot of people would know that. Not a lot of people would think that the elderly or would feel that way. They might feel like, oh, they've lived a full life,
right.
And here they're towards the end of their life, and for you to know that had to be the Lord revealing it. I'm sure
the Lord had to reveal a lot to me, and I'm sure there's a lot of wisdom that He gave me that I didn't really think about, but it come. Things like that came naturally to me, so I don't think it was anything special. Okay. It's not as if God ever burned a bush next to me and told me anything, right? I've never heard His voice audibly. Okay. And so I'm still waiting for that, but it hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, me too. That'd be amazing.
Right,
wouldn't it? Right. What were some of the obstacles that your ministry had to overcome in the beginning? The things that were the greatest challenges?
Denominationalism is a huge one. People, they ask me, what church are you with? They want to hear that either I'm a Roman Catholic or I'm a Baptist or I'm a Methodist or a Lutheran. That's what they're looking for, is someone that's like them. And so when I go in and I don't give them a church, and people get angry that I won't give them a way to figure out, what church I'm from, they don't know what to do with me. I can't take communion in, because when you take communion in, it separates people, because the Roman Catholics can't take a communion that's not given by a priest who's been approved. It's a sacrament. Lutherans can't take communion that's not from the sacramental standpoint. My problem is I'm not a sacramentalist, and I'm okay that people don't want to share in communion with me. I'm not trying to change their denomination or change their position, but that's part of the obstacle
Okay,
of
and
the
when the
unity.
challenges.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but you know what I find out though is as they get to know me, people who are elderly or older, they're not as denominated as we may have been when we were in our 20s or in our 30s. I had one woman say, she came in and she worshiped with us, and she was of a denomination that would have been more of a standoffish from us, but she said, we can just come in and worship God. And I'm like, yeah, you're welcome, come on in. And she says, why didn't we do this all along? I'm like, I don't know, but you're welcome here,
That's
right?
great.
You love Jesus, you want to worship God, let's go.
Mm-hmm.
And so I find a lot of people, they put their denominational differences behind them.
Okay.
Now, and I won't go so far as to say, all right, now let's do communion, because that seems to be one of those trigger points for people, is we can do a lot of things. We can fellowship, but we can't do that.
Wow, I didn't know that until this moment.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, they're not allowed to. And,
Wow.
and I learned, and I disagreed with at first, but I think I've changed my approach on this, is the first time I took communion in was in a memory loss unit, and the caregiver there, she would not allow me to give communion to the residents who were Roman Catholic. And that made me mad. And I argued against it. But then she pointed out to me, she said, my responsibility is to help them not to be in positions they would not have chosen to be in. And she was absolutely correct. If a lot of these people who are in who have mental illness would not have chosen in their right mind to have taken communion with me when they were in their right mind, it was up to her to protect them from me putting them in a position that would have got them away from their standards. And it galled me for a couple of weeks. I was angry, but she was absolutely correct. Her job is to protect them, and I can't fault her for that. And I won't fault anybody for protecting their charge, that they're responsible for.
Wow.
So then I err on the side of grace, Right,
right.
So I don't think Jesus is as petty as I am, and I have to remember that.
Why do you wear a clerical collar?
I wear a clerical collar because a lot of residents won't remember me from week to week, but they'll always remember the uniform.
Oh, very, very smart.
Yeah, so I don't know where that piece of wisdom came from. Probably because I'm cheap. It's cheaper than suits. And
You're funny.
well, no, it's true. I'm basically a miser. I can pinch a nickel and you can hear the buffalo roar when I'm done.
The three-legged one or the four-legged one?
Doesn't matter. I'll pinch it. No, but yeah. So no, but I think I picked it up from somebody at school that when they went into a hospital, they had to wear the collar at one of the hospitals they went to, and they never wore it. But it dawned on me, like, that's not a bad idea. Just as everyone knows a policeman's office, uniform, people know what the uniform is. Now, I get called father a lot, so I have to say I'm not a father, but it doesn't matter. They'll call me father, they'll call me John. I get called, Nick, what do I get called? Andy, the same guy's been with me 10 years. I'm like, Nick, my name's John. Hi, Andy. Okay, I'm Andy. Andy it is. So I'm Andy.
Now, you wrote about in the book how your daughter grew up in the nursing homes from when she was a little bitty baby, and they would hold her, and it
Yes.
brought joy to them. And I wanted to ask you how she got the title, the star of the show.
Oh, that's a good one. How did she get the title? I should have reread my book. I'm thinking that was because one of the songs we sing is Victory in Jesus.
Yeah.
And it's peppy. And at the very end of the song, she did a somersault exactly
Yes.
at the end of the song. And she, it was like, ta-da! And then everyone just applauded her. And she wasn't but a toddler. I mean, she was not even 2 yet when that happened. But yeah, she came in. My wife was pregnant when we started the ministry, so she wasn't a week old when we got to take her in to let everybody hold her.
Aw.
And it was incredible to see the people just love this little child. And one woman, she had Parkinson's, so she shook, and she wouldn't take the baby. And she says, I shake too much. And I said, what do you think we do when we hold the baby? We're like, shh, 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 shh.
Mm-hmm.
So she held the baby, and she says, that's the first time she held a baby in 30 years.
Wow.
And it was just fun to be able to share her. Well, Sela, my daughter, became everyone's favorite, and she was with us every week for the years that we were there. Now, now that she's older and in school, she's not involved as much. And I'm sorry that my other kids don't have the same experience. But I'm glad she had, and it was just fun.
Mm-hmm. And you homeschooled your kids?
I do homeschool. Well, actually, my wife homeschools.
Okay.
And I like to think I homeschool. I just
You're the principal.
Sometimes I'm the heavy, yeah. Sometimes I have to go in and threaten. And but no, I'm actually doing 2 classes with one of my sons. With my son this year, we're learning 3D printing and drafting, and what's the other one? Oh, electronics. So I get to do those classes with him. So it's kind of like
fun.
Yeah, we blocked out 2 hours a week, and we sit down for class, and it's fun.
Yeah.
It is.
I like teaching too.
Yeah, I can't say I like teaching. I can't say I'm good at teaching, but I'm learning just as much as he is.
You're modest.
Seriously, no, we're just working through the book. I don't know how to do 3D printing. I'm learning as he is. So we're reading side by side this book with our computers, and we're how to do this stuff. I've never done 3D printing, but I told him, I said, you go through this course, we'll buy you a 3D printer.
There you go. That's incentive.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm sure hoping we're going to be able to afford that when we're ready. But
have you looked at the prices yet?
Yeah, well, yeah, they got a $300 one.
Okay. I wanted to. There was a story that talked about a woman in the book who had Alzheimer's, and we sometimes wonder if they're aware of their surroundings, if they know what's going on. And I wanted you to share about Donna. I don't want to give too much away.
No, Miss Donna was one of those people. We never know how much people are picking up when we say things or sing or whatever. But one day we had gotten done with the service, and the director came over and she said, "Did you see that?" And we're like, "See what?" And she's like, "Did you see that Donna was singing?" And we're like, "No," And she says, "But Donna never responds to anything." Which she sang during that one song, and then after she was done with the song, she didn't sing again. So who knows when something gets through to them, but that song apparently did at that moment.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. I want to share with everyone about the book. It's called The Forgotten Church. It is in sections to where it has like little short stories about different people that you've come in contact with that have touched your heart. You can see the heart of Christ throughout the book. You feel the love of Jesus. You see that this is a ministry that is God ordained, that is blessed and anointed. And I hope that you catch the vision too, having watched this episode. And it talks about the learning curve. He's very open and honest about the struggles that he's had, his joys, his victories. And then he shares ministry moments, which is kind of an inside glimpse into the hardships, but also the joys and the wonderful things that have happened. And he documents that in the book, and it's a really good book. It's a page turner. Where can they pick it up if they're interested?
Amazon.com.
Okay. Just
search for John Rock and Forgotten Church, and it'll come right up. Now, if you don't search for Forgotten Church, you'll get John Rock, who created the pill. I didn't do that. But so unfortunately, it's not that forgiving when you don't get the right words in there. But John Rock, Forgotten Church, and you'll come right on it.
Okay. And if churches want to get involved, if individuals want to get involved in the sharing org, how can they do that? How can they get a hold of it?
Visit our website at www.thesharing.org, and you can contact me from there, and I'd be happy to call you and buy you a cup of coffee.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you everybody for watching, and remember to keep sharing the good news.